Between Tick and Tock is quite an unusual book. It was recommended to me, it's another award winning book, and the idea of this one is that in a town there's a girl up here and she's controlling the clock. And this is just a normal town where life goes on, and one day she says, for one tiny moment, between Tick and Tock, time to pause the clock. The city shudders to a stop, and she goes out and she has an impact on everything she sees, and she makes small little differences in just a moment. So it's that tiny pause, and in pausing and noticing that changes can be made, and that's what it's about. But it's very unusual, I think, in the way that it's put together. This is a book that I think you could read from infants up to sixth, and they'll all get something different from it. It's a very visual book. I think the pictures tell the story more so than the words. The words are unusual. They're not very clear. Each piece stands on its own, almost like mini little poems. No one sees, no one knows how a garden grows in a blink. And then she's colouring in the flowers. Green, pink and purple glow as grey slinks away. The little alleyway feels pretty and whispers, thank you. And she goes on and she makes little changes all the way through the book. And then in the end, the clock has to get turned back on. And tick tock, the city sings and sparkles. An alleyway hears, oh how pretty. So it's in that moment then, when time continues again, people notice the difference that she made. They notice how things have changed, and as the illustrations go on, they start off being quite cold. So if you just look at that page there, and then the same here, so this is a much warmer image. There's not much of a difference between it, but you can see how this is a colder image. Even, you know, the image of the buildings here in the back are blue, but here they're much warmer, and that can show the passing of time maybe, or it just shows, you know, a subtle difference, but enough of a difference that people would notice. And it's just an unusual book, but definitely one that could be read, as I say, from infants to sixth, and you will get something different out of it. I think each time you read it, you just have to read it and have a go at it, and just to have a look at the illustrations. It's one of those ones where you could just look at the illustrations or just look at the text, and you'll get something completely different out of it. This is another one where you would treat the illustrations separate to the text. Me, if I was reading this one, I think I wouldn't show the children the text the first time round. I would probably just scan in the images and give them to them, or put them up on the whiteboard. I might even scan them and perhaps cut them out and ask the children to create a story with them, because the illustrations in this book are just fabulous. So it's called The Black Dog by Levi Pinfold, and it's a new author to me. He's a new author to me. I've only just recently discovered him. So straight away we have this beautiful house in the middle of this snowy forest, and so many questions immediately. Whose house is it? What's it doing there? We can see some paw prints here, but I don't know who they belong to. There's no car, there's no road. You know, so many questions. And if I just cover the text here, this first image, it's an image in motion. The stool is about to fall, the child is looking over, the cat is surprised, the food is falling, this man here is suddenly startled and he's looking out the window. And then if you look over on this side, we have the image looking into the house, and you can see that there's a dog on the outside, and this is looking in. That's the silhouette of the man, and there he is on the phone. And down here we have the child on the bicycle and the two cats. So we've got the bicycle, the cat, the child, the other cat, and then we have the man. So I think if I was going to be teaching this one, I would scan in these images, and I would just give the images to the children and see what story they came up with. And these images are just so vivid. There's so much in them, even down to the writing here on the furniture. And in the next one then we have mum, and there's the dad and the child and mum, and then from the inside, and now we're looking at the outside, and we have an even larger dog and so on, and here's mum, the dad, and so on, and the cats. The images show so much motion all the way through. I actually don't want to spoil it on you, but eventually one of the children go outside and meet this black dog, and the illustrations all the way through are just fabulous. And the child plays with the dog, and it's just that feeling of motion you get in every single image. It's so interesting. So the story is about the Hope family, and one little spoiler is that it's the littlest Hope. It's the smallest child. It's a little Hope that goes out to see what this big scary dog is about, and finds out that it's not scary after all. A fabulous book. I think for the senior end of the school, if I was teaching it, I would get at least a week out of the illustrations alone, the oral language that would come out of this book, the discussion, the sequencing of the pictures. Just forget the text. Just read the pictures. They're just fabulous. The illustrations are just fabulous in it. And then maybe the second time round, ignore the illustrations and read the text. And then finally put the two together. Definitely a week, maybe 2 weeks more of work just on this one book. It's just so rich. There's so much in it. Oral language, reading, writing, everything. It's all there in this one particular book. A really good find.